7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Alrighty, so we are for you. So over 20% of the American population is diagnosed with a disability. This also doesn't include the people who can't even afford to get a diagnosis, which actually makes up the largest minority group in America. We narrowed our scope to folks with visual impairments and how they might obtain contraceptive products and education to empower themselves in their sexual lives. So why visually impaired people and sex? Well, from a social standpoint, 61% of blind adults say that their vision status had a negative impact on the way that they were able to participate in sex education. And you would think that ethics is fine, end of discussion. However, we also need to look at this from a business standpoint. Two sides of the same coin, right? So the condom market is actually valued at $9.2 billion, that's with a B, in 2020 and expected to compound. You would think that with capitalism, Adam's hand, that you would see some kind of innovation following that technologically, right? You're wrong. Yeah, you in the camera, you're wrong. And you would think that it's also accessible, right? For all of these people, 33 million people, you're also wrong.
So after evaluating our problem space a little bit, we went through also a little bit of iteration, and we landed at our current solution, which is a packaging design agency that markets to contraceptive manufacturing and supply companies to provide our universally accessible packaging expertise. So how do we differ exactly? Well, as you'll see in the next slide, we focus specifically on tactile packaging solutions and not Braille. Braille, as you saw in the previous slide, not all visually impaired people actually know how to read. And we also focus, for the business side of things, on niche consumer insights. So we take our research into users like those that are visually impaired and provide those insights to businesses. So given the time constraints of this class, we opted to focus our attention on the condom sector of the contraceptive industry. Once we nailed down that direction, it was time to conduct some research into the industry. We found that there has been a steady increase in the market size growth rate, capping out this year at $9.2 billion. So clearly this is a large industry that is worthwhile to investigate. Within this, male condoms seem to dominate the marketplace. In terms of our target user itself, we found that research into various countries and their STI rate relative to those with disabilities was alarming, as opposed to the STI rate with those that don't have disabilities. So what did we take away from this research? Well, if any of you have ever opened a condom, you'll see that it's not so easy when you're in the dark. For those that are visually impaired, the execution is even more difficult. Innovation in condoms and condom packaging hasn't done much to remedy this. You can see that in the pictures here. We wanted to do something a little bit more different than the usual familiar plastic wrapper type condom packaging. We wanted to do more than this, and with the recent upticks in the sexual health revolution, the accessibility design revolution, and the post-pandemic social boom, now is the time to make that change.
So due to the unforeseen ubiquity of our product and its truly accessible design, we decided to incorporate a business in our possible personas. So here we have Pleasure Condoms, which currently holds a 22% of market share. The goals are to create opportunities for the underprivileged and partner with new products and companies, and moreover to create partnerships that can lead to greater success. The frustrations include that there are not many viable partnership options to help the visually impaired demographic. Moving swiftly along, we have Tony Smith, 26-year-old legally blind individual. Their goals are to meet people without having to add pressure to their visual impairment, and to be able to practice safe sex and to receive the proper education to do so. And their frustrations include difficulties with opening, conventional packaging, and not having many contraception brands that alleviate the pains of being sexually active as well as visually impaired. And lastly, we have Sam Lee, 23-year-old student, and their goals are to transition from foreplay to sexual intercourse in a seamless way, no matter which situation they're in, as well as to prevent fluid transmission. And their frustrations are sometimes they forget which way the condom is facing, and they can't see in the dark, which is why we picked as a persona as well. And now we'll be moving on to the feature matrix.
So when creating a product for people with visual impairments, we focus on solutions for them specifically. In comparison to the biggest brand names and the smaller indie companies, our packaging offers tactile affordances, feedback, and options for any sexual event. And these started, as every great product does, on paper. So we fiddled with symbols to create a library and then decided to raise them tactile, not graphic. And so high fidelity included bringing these symbols to life through the greatest inventions known to humankind, cardboard and bag cleaners. And so these MVPs created a base model for potential 3D printing in the future.
So we took our prototype, and granted, yes, it is of a lower fidelity, but as the idea progresses, perhaps we can do some more with 3D printing and laser cutting that could bring the prototype to a higher fidelity. We ended up testing our low fidelity prototype at the Design and Innovation Building grand opening. Here we asked the people that approached our station to try and put a condom on through our packaging and onto a banana. And after they finished this activity, they would complete a survey and tell us our experiences with this activity. We found that participants indicated that they put the condom on in about 3 seconds. Granted, they weren't seeing what they were doing. They were all doing this inside of a box. And we also found that 100% of participants that were surveyed said that they would be interested in purchasing this kind of product. So some downsides that aren't indicated in the slide, we found that the Keurig style packaging was, there was some environmental issues with that. So in the future, we would hope to make our product eco-friendly. So we would hope to pursue different materials.
So here we have a couple examples of our logo and branding material. As you can see, we've incorporated our favorite icon, and we created 2 logos as well as the color palette for our brand.
So here you can see our website landing page. We use Wix to make the site. We have our mission statement up at the top, an example of how we came to be, our promotional video, some examples of services that we offer, as well as a way to reach us in an easy way.
And this is our explaining video. For our social media profiles, we created a Twitter account, TikTok, and Facebook account. And our TikTok account actually had over 1,300 views on the video we created. And all of our social media accounts linked our website so that our users could find all of our promotional tools.
So next we started to work on our email campaign. Since we have 3 personas, we broke it up into different content specific to our personas. First one being the condom supplier and manufacturer. We focused on a simple look, professional, adhering to the professional relationship that we're going to be having with these companies. And the content really focused on what can we do to better your product development, how can we make it easier for you, and that is with providing niche consumer insights. The other 2 emails were targeted towards our other 2 personas. Those are people with visual impairments and those without visual impairments. You can see the template is the same. It's colorful, vibrant. It draws people in. And the content here for the people with visual impairments is specifically adhering to the complications that they've had in their sexual lives. And to those that don't have visual impairments, it's also complications that they've had in their sexual lives, but this time, instead of it being about their visual impairment, it's about it being in the dark, and it's hard to put condom on the right way, things like that.
Similarly, since B2B are the main clients, we advertise with Google Ads, which, by the way, has built-in accessibility checkers with WCAG compliance and AA, A7A, all standards. So they emphasize the need to integrate accessibility design from the start. And on the consumer side, we promoted the existence of these products just to show that there are products out there to cater to everybody's needs. They're not negotiable, and they shouldn't sell for less.
So here we focus on our strategy, how we're going to be releasing these ads and these marketing campaigns. And we went through the channels that were described in the assignment, so marketing or email campaign, social media, advertising, digital, our website. And we also added on a third channel, which is events. We looked at which kinds of events cater to our mission statement. So there's a World AIDS Day. There's also International Day of Persons with Disabilities. We thought that we could come to those events and market ourselves and what our mission is, and hopefully get some attention that way. So some outcomes, next steps, results, that kind of thing. We launched our website and our social media profiles. As you saw previously, we got a lot of hits on our TikTok page, 1355. Our website got not as many hits. Again, we didn't have our email campaign out so that people could click on our website and look at it. But you know, future steps with that, taking our results from the advertising campaigns and the email campaigns, figuring out where the clicks are coming from, and then starting to pivot and market ourselves to where those clicks are coming from. Long-term goals, this is more like recruiting people from areas that we haven't touched yet, like hospitals, some blind organizations or support groups, creating a market portfolio to showcase projects to future clients, and also encouraging more accessible products to launch on the market, something even past the contraceptive packaging, and starting to look at us as more of a movement rather than just an agency. And that's it for us. Thank you.
Thanks.